So it's January 31st and going into February already, surprisingly. The question on everybody's mind is, well, are cows OP? At least it's my question, right? Because I can only really speak for myself, but I've really been wondering this question. You know, because why not? Why not cows? You may ask, why cows? Well, why not cows? You know, I mean, this guy's done a bunch of different animals, you know, tier zoo. Not the first time we're reacting here on the channel. Let's get straight into it. 10 minutes. Let's not make it that long. You know, let's make it a quick video. Let's go. Okay. Ooh. Oh, he went into the stands. That motherfuckers was running out of there. That'd be terrifying. I wouldn't want to be in those stands.
Builds in the game. And normally, a high
That's not really a cow, though. That's like a bull, though.
Population is a good indicator that a build is pretty powerful in the current meta. However, I think in the case of cattle, there are a lot of other factors which make their true power level a bit less obvious. Are cattle low-tier builds that are simply propped up by human activity?
Probably.
Or are they a genuinely powerful high tier that would dominate with or without human help?
You know, if a cow comes running at you, they're big. You know, they're big and fat. Oof. Have you ever seen really muscular cows? There's a really type of, I think there's a type of cow that has like, especially like in a certain region where like a certain genetic like variation is very common there, and they just come out muscular as fuck. Have you guys ever seen a really muscular cow?
Abilities to
Look at that. That guy looks muscular. They're
Cattle
pretty
are part
muscular.
of a powerful
They're just
faction
fat.
of builds called bovines, which also includes the bison, Cape buffalo, water buffalo, and historically the auroch. While there are a few differences between them, which we'll discuss in a tier list at the end of the video, they all share a few common traits. Bovines have an exceptionally high HP stat. It takes a lot of damage to bring them down,
really?
Pretty much requiring team strats from multiple predator players at once.
Oh, you know, I feel bad for that animal. I wouldn't want to be that animal, man. Like, lions and shit and all types of tigers, you know, they start coming up on you and they chop your balls off while you're running away. Oh, it's horrible, man. I don't want to think about it as a man. Why do they have to go for the balls? That's so fucking oh my god.
Unlike some other high
I feel
HP
it.
builds,
You can feel
bovines
it.
don't just sit there eating the damage. No, they can strike back with incredible
Woo!
force. Their sharp,
He said that
sturdy
guy
horns
flying.
can
I've seen that
inflict
one.
massive damage on
Oh my
anything
god.
unlucky enough to be caught in their path. And
Damn.
unlike antlers, which fall off and need to be regrown each year, the horns cattle have, they have year-round, always ready to wreck someone's plan of attack.
So there's
Their
more
mobility stat is kind
like,
of mid,
reliable.
definitely not high enough to reliably escape a predator.
Ooh.
And their intelligence and stealth are both below average for a mammal. However, neither of these stats are all that integral to the bovine build's main strategy. While lower intelligence does create a potentially exploitable vulnerability to things like traps and lower their resistance to distraction and intimidation tactics, it's not so low that bovines aren't able to utilize team combos. Quite the contrary, in fact. The herd defense tactics employed by a competent herd of cattle makes them borderline impossible to defeat in a group.
Damn.
And since they have such a high HP
He brought
stat,
the gang
this
with him.
gives cows' teammates a lot of time to regroup and launch a
Bro, what am I watching? What are they biting? What is that guy biting his tail or his nutsack? He better not be biting. That's two of them, right? What am I seeing? Is that three? What am I seeing in the back right there?
attack.
Yeah, that's most definitely three.
If one of their herd members goes
Oh, but here comes the gang.
down and needs a save. Next, we should discuss their unique abilities and their signature combat moves. Bovines all have the ruminant ability, which enables them to gain XP and level up all just from eating grass. This
Damn.
might seem like a
Seems
boring
very
ability,
basic.
but its usefulness is actually hard to overstate.
That little Mac
Having
wrapped
this
over.
perk essentially means that one of the most abundant plants in the game becomes your main source of XP, completely removing the need to search and forage for food.
Solid.
This means a player doesn't need to invest evolution points into things like climbing, digging, keen eyesight, or intelligence to be able to find food, and can reinvest those points into other stats.
I think investing into intelligence is OP as fuck. Like, investing into intelligence should always be the go-to. It should be like a spam. Like, they should get it nerfed by how many animals should be like trying to improve that stat. You know, it should be like the most like the highest pick rate. You would think so. You know, you would think intelligence would have the highest pick rate, but no, it actually doesn't. Surprising.
Which is how cattle are able to support such a high base stat total. Cattle also push the mammal faction's signature move.
But I think there is a certain level where intelligence becomes like meta. You know, I think basic intelligence, like just a small increase to these animals, I don't think it would do much of a difference. But if you have like a major increase, then you're really talking.
Lactation to its limits. Cow milk is one of the most nutritious substances in the game and allows new cattle players to level up extremely quickly. This helps keep their offspring safe.
They're just
as it
feeding
means
off
they
other
spend
cows'
less
tits.
time in the more vulnerable low weight class and quickly reach a size where hardly anything could realistically take them down alone. The cattle's signature move is Goring Rush, an extremely powerful head bash attack that deals heavy damage and inflicts incredible knockback, forcing the target back a good distance and also likely knocking the target prone, which allows for easy follow-up attacks. Their sharp hooves deal extra damage to prone enemies, so this straightforward combo can be devastating if it catches an opponent off
Can we
guard.
get a replay on that? Jesus Christ.
So this
You flipped
straightforward
that guy.
combo can be devastating if it catches an opponent off guard. That is about it when it comes to the cow's main combat moves. Cows can kick as well, but it's more of a stomp than anything. They don't have the flexibility or power to headshot someone like a horse can. They also cannot deal damage with their bite,
I love that
since
horse
they
kick.
don't have upper teeth. Not a super big deal, but biting is a powerful option
What is
since
the...
they don't have upper teeth.
How does that even... How does that even evolutionarily come about? Like, how do you only grow bottom teeth? Do you only need bottom teeth to eat plants?
Not a super big deal, but biting is a powerful option to have in a pinch, so
Oh
it's
my
at least
God!
worth mentioning. Now let's get into the cattle's weaknesses and counterplay. So due to the
Okay.
cattle's low intelligence,
So if you're not a
stat,
cow,
its
this is important to
resistance
know.
mental status conditions like intimidation, distraction, or trickery is reduced. Intimidation is a pretty common tactic employed by a variety of different builds, from predators to omnivores to herbivores. Intimidation is one of the most effective tactics against cattle, and can often result in a cow losing a battle that it very easily could have won if it had not been scared away. And conversely, if a cow does decide to take the offensive, distractions
Bro, whose man's is that, bro? I'm sorry. No. What?
often result in a cow
From
losing
what
a
is
battle
that small animal? Is that monkey?
very easily could have won if
That's a cat.
it had not been
What the fuck?
scared away.
Dude, my bro, he was. Yo,
And
hold on,
conversely,
bro.
if a cow does decide
What
to take
the
the offensive,
fuck?
distractions can easily divert the attack, causing
Oh my god, talk about natural selection. That guy would be dead if that was a really like scary animal. That like how is that even a reaction for you? You're dead. That's like a lion, you're dead.
it to completely miss. While this is, of course, extremely risky, overcommitting to an attack and whiffing can oftentimes mean the difference between decisive victory and
Oh my
crushing
god.
defeat.
Where did you find this?
Advanced
What
players
the
will
f-
even be able to utilize a combination of intimidation and distraction to kite cattle in specific directions, enabling them to control
Why is that
entire
dog
herds,
attacking that
which
herd?
is what has allowed human mains to capture huge numbers of cattle. Cattle are known for their Goring Rush attack, which, while powerful, is imperfect. Many builds put a ton of points into the ability Concussive Force Resistance, enabling them to throw out headbutt attacks without much risk. Cows
goats.
have some blunt force resistance, but not enough that headbutts and charging attacks are without risk. In fact, at high speed, cattle can easily take lethal damage in a single hit if they strike another player at full force with their charging attack. Builds like the goat or bighorn sheep can easily best a cow in 1v1 combat, even though the cow's stats are much higher in a vacuum. Builds with forward-facing
Wait,
horns
what?
even builds like the goat or bighorn sheep can easily best a cow in 1v1 combat, even though the cow's stats are much higher in a vacuum.
What? Just because they didn't look. That's why you always gotta like invest in the head strength upgrade. Cause like what? You're
Strike
getting
another player at
outdone
full
by that
force with their
sheep.
charging attack. Builds like the goat or bighorn sheep can easily best a cow in 1v1 combat, even
I
though the
don't
cow's
believe
stats
that.
are much higher in a vacuum. Builds with forward-facing horns can also present quite a challenge to bovine builds, as bovine horns tend to face to the side and are more used for swiping and slashing at opponents than for stabbing forward.
Oh
This
my
means that in
God.
a direct confrontation, sharp antlers can deal a lot of damage to a bovine player while keeping them out of reach of connecting with their own horn attacks.
Oh my
There aren't
god.
enough different bovines for a proper full-length tier list video, but I think I can do a quick rapid-fire ranking to close out this video. The basic cattle comes in at a solid B tier. Definitely not a bad build, but one with a lot of weaknesses that high tier builds can exploit. Their main advantage over the other, more wild cattle variants is that due to selective breeding by humans, the domestic cattle are actually the best in the game at milk production, and therefore their offspring level up and reach larger sizes much quicker. definitely a much more beginner-friendly build, although at the end of your playthrough, there's a good chance a human will eliminate you. Also in B tier, we have the Yak, a mountainous variant of the cattle that opted for slightly lower base stats in exchange for better resistance to the cold and better mobility on icy or rocky terrain. Same basic weaknesses as the common cattle, but its ability to survive the cold Himalayan mountains means that it has less natural enemies to contend with than cattle.
That's such a name, Yak. Yak! Yak!
In less hostile climates do. At the bottom of A tier, we have the Bison. The Bison are the largest
Great
bovine
American
builds,
Bison.
and traded some of their power stats for extra health and defense. As a result, they have shorter horns and lots of padded fur on their head.
If they had bigger horns, that would be a nasty build. I'll tell you what. Look, they look like they have beards, but they look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Because that hunch,
they can tank a lot more damage, but also can't deal as much damage using Goring Rush. This can be a bit of a problem, as being able to one-hit a wolf would really help discourage aggressive teams of wolves from attacking them. Since they can't get a one-hit kill without a crit, some wolves get pretty brazen in their attacks on Bison. Still, they're tied with the Moose as the premier tank of the North America server, and have favorable matchups against the Grizzly Bear. So
actually, a Bison is outdoing a Grizzly?
Still definitely a solid high tier. Next in A tier we have the Water Buffalo, a bovine build with roughly equivalent stats to the common cattle, but with higher offensive stats and massive horns. They get a mobility bonus in shallow water, which, while not that busted of an ability, is still pretty nice to have. Water Buffalo have to be able to fight off one of the most powerful solitary predator builds in the game.
The hippopotamus?
The Bengal Tiger.
Oh, I'm about to say.
Anything that can take on this thing has to be at least A tier. The human player base in the India server is also notably less aggressive towards bovine players, which makes them a lot more viable in that meta.
Aww.
But when it comes to hostile metagames, nothing compares to Africa. And despite the abundance of extremely powerful predators like the lion and hyena, and territorial giants like the rhino and elephant, the Cape Buffalo is still notorious for being one of the most dangerous builds in the game. It's one of Africa's Big Five, a status given to builds which are notoriously difficult for humans to defeat 1v1. And so I think for this...
An elephant has a lot of intelligence, and it's huge, but it doesn't seem like it'd be too hard to take them. Like, I say too hard because none of them really would if you have, like, a gun. But, like, if you don't, I can imagine taking any of them down, just, like, physical force. You know, like, if you don't have monkeys that evolve intelligence and spend points on getting guns, which is busted. Somebody might have to nerf the server soon, but like, if you don't have that,
African Cape Buffalo,
yeah, I don't see what, like, I don't see them being easy, you know.
But it still doesn't quite crack S tier, mostly because it's overshadowed by the wildebeest in the African savanna meta. The wildebeest, which is not a type of cattle or buffalo, but rather is essentially an antelope with higher stats, may not be as bulky as the Cape Buffalo, but it does have a much higher base speed stat, and this speed is pretty crucial for being able to escape an ambush from Africa's predator builds, and for punishing opponents who don't respect the wildebeest's range, leading to the wildebeest being vastly more successful than the Cape Buffalo. This level of supreme optimization is what it takes to crack S tier in the African server. Now, this doesn't mean cattle will never be S tier. In fact, I think there's a pretty strong argument to be made that prior to humans unlocking the gunpowder technology on the tech tree, Bison were the undisputed S tier of North America. And although they were all but annihilated from the server, their numbers are slowly but surely returning to healthy levels. It's quite an inspiring story, which you can check out right now on Curiosity Stream. The sponsor.
So the wildebeest is not top 5. It's not a S tier. Well, it is S tier. That's what I was trying to say. It's not top 5 Africa, but it is S tier. And the water buffalo is not. But that's top 5. That's interesting. We might need to call upon the court to have a reevaluation done. But nonetheless, amazing video. Drops a day ago. You know, so we're not too late. Tirzu, Arcow's OP. Turns out we didn't really get that. Never does he really say are they too OP? I think that a lot of that is up for our interpretation after watching the stats, and I don't think he really makes these videos to try to make a claim either or. I'd say not OP, not overpowered. I mean, I'm comparing it to But it might be just because I'm comparing it to humans. Like, if humans weren't around, they're kind of hard to take down. I don't know. They holding off grizzlies, tigers, lions, and shit. I don't know if they can hold off a lion, really. I don't. They didn't talk about them too much, but like, I don't know. I mean, Africa's level expert, and that's where you find a lot of these. But then again, cows, regular cows, not OP. They're just really good at providing resources. So, like milk. Milk is important, really great, amazing. I mean, we need it. I don't know if you can say that will make them OP. I kind of think of OP in terms of like their ability to sort of defend against predators, you know, but because of their way to team up, I mean, I don't know, there's real conflict there. I'm not gonna get too much into it, man. I don't want to bore y'all like that. We all got stuff to do, man. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Let me know which way you guys want me to react to next, and just leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, man. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.